Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank, where I climb the online VGC 15 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. We're going to jump straight into today's episode, currently sitting with a rating of 1688, so we are slowly getting to the 1700s. It's been up and down with this team, a lot of fun games, but I, definitely am not the most comfortable with the team, so I'm still learning as we go along with it, and we do have this episode and 2 more episodes with it, so we'll see what we can do in these last couple of days as we find Lucas from Brazil to kick off today's episode with a rating of 1699. As always, if you enjoy Road to Rank, please show support by leaving a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Lucas here has a very familiar team of Salamence, Tyranitar, Rotom Wash, Excadrill, Amoonguss, and Aegislash, so very similar to the Sand team that I brought to US Nationals, the exact same Pokemon that I brought to Massachusetts Regionals, and just a really popular strategy overall. Sand is really strong. Of course, I used it for basically the last 2 months at VGC or so it's pretty cool to face against one of the teams here. Mega Alakazam here is actually really solid for a bunch of reasons. It outspeeds Tyranitar, it can one-hit KO Amoonguss and Salamence and outspeed them, so that's really nice, but I still have to figure out what I want to lead with. I actually do like the Alakazam lead here, I think. Something like Alakazam Virizion, maybe. Though Bisharp's actually quite nice here too, if it can take advantage, especially from Salamence's Intimidate. I just wonder if my opponent's Rotom Wash is also EV to outspeed Bisharp, like my Rotom Wash originally was. That would be interesting to see. Volcarona, probably not the best Pokemon to bring into this matchup, so I'm going to eliminate that one in terms of who I want to bring. But I do like Alakazam and maybe Rotom Wash, actually. Something like Alakazam, Rotom Wash, Bisharp, Landorus. Though Virizion here is really tempting, especially because my opponent does have a Rotom Wash of his own. Tough call to make here. Alakazam, and it's also kind of tempting to go Alakazam Virizion, actually. I might do that. But the question is, do I want Bisharp in this match? I think Bisharp is still worth bringing, especially because my opponent has Aegislash, and I can knock off / Iron Head the Tyranitar and Excadrill. So, Alakazam. You know what? I'm actually going to bring the Bisharp here in the lead, for the lead. Virizion in the back. And do I want Landorus or Rotom Wash as my last one? I like Landorus a bit more, actually, I think. Yeah. Alright, so we'll lock in and see how this goes. It's tough not bringing Rotom Wash here because you'd imagine how well it does against both Tyranitar and Excadrill, but I imagine that my opponent's not going to bring them, or at least one of the two. And I also have Landorus for Intimidate there, which is fine. Now, not bringing Rotom hurts me a bit in terms of the Rotom Mirror match, but he actually leads with Tyranitar and Excadrill immediately, which I am more than okay with, just because I can immediately, get an Intimidate off. And if Alakazam traces the Excadrill's ability here, that'd be really fantastic. But Tyranitar is going to set up this Sandstream. Let's see. I wonder if my opponent also might be smart enough to just predict the switch out immediately. I mean, I can double protect here to scout out for what he wants to do, which would honestly probably be the safest bet. Yeah, I don't know. I really want to just pull some switches here immediately. However, if he goes for like an Ice Punch into the Alakazam slot, that would be bad. It's not the most unlikely of plays either. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna double Mega Evolve. Mega Evolve. Do I want to protect here or do I want to just Iron Head? Yeah, let's scout out for what he does. Some of you guys may remember when I played Angel Miranda at US Nationals in the first time we played. He had a Scarf Tyranitar, and the thing about Scarf Tyranitar is if you predict correctly, you can completely screw them over right from the beginning, as I actually do trace the Sand Rush. But the difficult thing about it is, if you don't predict correctly, they can immediately get an attack off. So one of the nice ways to mitigate it is by going for a double protect immediately to scout out for what attack they want to go for. As Excadrill here targets Bisharp with the Drill Run, Tyranitar actually just goes for a Rock Slide. So now Tyranitar is going to choose to lock itself into Rock Slide, probably the best attack it could lock itself into. However, this is going to allow me to make a pretty nice play by switching out into my Virizion and my Landorus. So even though, it was nice that I was able to trace the Sand Rush on Alakazam, Alakazam's really not doing anything in the position, that I'm in right now. And it's still really important because, like I mentioned, it one-hit KOs the Salamence and the Amoonguss, which my opponent might potentially have in the back. And Bisharp also knocks out the Aegislash. So I really want to conserve these two Pokemon. Relatively safe switch-ins here by bringing in the Landorus and the Virizion here. Neither of his Pokemon can really do too much against me right now. If he goes for a double Rock Slide here, Landorus will take some damage, but I've definitely got myself into a much better position than where I was a turn ago. Of course, the Intimidate helps out a lot here against both of his physical type attackers and sets him back a considerable amount. Excadrill, however, makes a fantastic play here, going for the Iron Head onto Virizion. Still does a lot of damage there. The Tyranitar also gets a Rock Slide off. I'm not pleased about how much damage I took there with Virizion, so it's not too great for me here. So even though I thought I was in a decent position, maybe not as good as I, was hoping for. Now I wonder what he's going to do here, because he's definitely going to want to withdraw the Tyranitar, I think, here. My best bet is to protect and Earthquake. But I wonder if his Excadrill is going to protect in anticipation of Virizion protecting. I could also try to maybe get ahead a little bit and go for something like or target that Tyranitar slot down. I mean, I wonder who he'd switch into. Rotom Wash makes the most sense. So, you know what? I'm actually going to Leaf Blade the Tyranitar slot and Earthquake myself here. Might not seem like the wisest play, but Tyranitar does switch out, so let's see if I can bait the Rotom Wash into coming in here. Nope, it's going to be Aegislash, but I still get a free Earthquake off here, so I'm alright with that. As Excadrill targets the Landorus with the Iron Head. Good play by him there. So Virizion's going to get a Leaf Blade off, obviously not doing very much against the Aegislash, but I'll take any damage I can get. Of course, it makes me look a bit silly here, but Landorus actually flinches. That's actually really unfortunate. He's so weak to Earthquake, and I would have gotten a chance to get a free Earthquake off there, but instead not the case, and pretty sad about that because he would have been locked in. I mean, Bisharp would have helped me out so much there, so that was a really unfortunate flinch. I'm going to go for the close combat here into Excadrill, and I'm going to I can't protect with Landorus, excuse me. I might as well just Earthquake, I guess. Yeah. Wow, that was such a big flinch there for my opponent. Would have put me up so much, but Excadrill's Iron Head really carrying him right now. I thought the Excadrill was basically wouldn't be able to have much damage output, but you see that Iron Head's still doing pretty good even after the Intimidate, so that's really helping him out right now. And yeah, that was a big bummer that I wasn't able to get the Earthquake off there. He's going to withdraw the Aegislash out here now into Salamence, which is a really good play too. So, it would have been nice if I'd knocked my own Virizion out, because I would have gotten a free switch into the Bisharp last turn, and now I just look a bit silly once again as I close combat and Earthquake myself into oblivion. So definitely not the best of starts to the game, but it's still definitely far from over. I'm not going to give up here. Virizion actually manages to hang on, but Sandstorm's going to be able to knock it out. So, I mean, if anything, it's a free switch in, right? But, no, Virizion definitely could have done more in this match. It basically went down without doing anything, which is definitely a bummer. But at least I get to bring in Alakazam now. I wonder if I can catch my opponent off guard and get the Hidden Power Ice off immediately. So I do trace the Sand Rush here, which is helpful. Though Intimidate actually probably would have been more helpful. So I'll go for the Hidden Power here onto Salamence. And I think I'm just going to attack here with Landorus. I'll go for the Superpower, yeah. Okay. Oh man, that flinch onto Landorus. If he didn't flinch Landorus, Excadrill would be down to its presumed Focus Sash right now, and Aegislash would be in Psychic KO range, which is why that was such an instrumental turn for my opponent, but we'll see if we can play, around that. However, it's basically 4 against 2.5. I haven't really been able to do any damage thus far. But Alakazam being able to trace the Excadrill's ability is pretty helpful here. I will be able to outspeed it now, which is, nice because even if he's Focus Sash, Superpower will bring him down to his Sash, and then I can, play accordingly after that. But the Scarf Tyranitar in the back here is also really scary for me, so nicely managed by my opponent. The Salamence here is going to Mega Evolve immediately, so we'll see whether he goes for a Protect or not, because if not, that Salamence is going to go down in one hit to the Hidden Power Ice. I'm really hoping to catch my opponent off guard right now. He does not Protect, which is fantastic, so Mega Alakazam does get this HP Ice off against the Salamence. That should pick up the one-hit KO as it does. So Salamence is going to fall, and we are now tied at 3-3. But Excadrill here is going to get an Iron Head off, targeting the Alakazam. Hopefully not a knockout? Yeah. Brings me down to 52 HP, but that's not enough to pick up the knockout. I am going to be able to get the Superpower off against Excadrill. Does not knock it out, unfortunately, because of the Intimidate from Salamence. I wonder if he's Focus Sashed. Sandstorm does subside here, but you'd imagine Tyranitar is just going to come right back in. However, this makes for a really interesting match now, because Tyranitar's probably going to come back in, right? Yeah, that only makes sense. But he has to Rock Slide here. Well, the question here is, do you protect your Excadrill or do you just attack? Because one play I want to make right now is Psychicing the Excadrill and switching Landorus out. Yeah, I think I'm going to Psychic Excadrill, switch Landorus out into Bisharp. So even if Excadrill protects, Psychic, I mean, he gets a Rock Slide off, but then I get a free switch him back into my Landers, get the Intimidate off, and then he's locked into Rock Slide against Bisharp. So, Bisharp's basically the key to winning this game, especially against the Tyranitar and the Aegislash in the back, but, you know, it's still a bit scary because I don't know if Knockoff can even knock out the Aegislash since I'm not Life Orb, which is why I really wanted that Earthquake chip damage earlier on. But regardless, you know, I can put myself into a better position here. He's not going to protect with the Excadrill, which is fantastic for me here, as I'm going to be able to knock out the Excadrill one hit. And now my opponent's issue is that Tyranitar is going to be locked into Rock Slide for the remainder of the match since he's Choice Scarfed. And Tyranitar launches a Rock Slide off here. It does connect with both of my Pokemon, but, you know, if he doesn't have something like Sacred Sword on that Bisharp or on the Aegislash, he needs basically 2 turns to knock out my Bisharp right now, and I get the free Intimidate off against his Tyranitar, so this is really good for me. Of course, the game's still not over yet, but, you know, given how bad it was looking when it was 4 to 2.5, basically, things are looking a lot better right now. So, let's see what I want to do right now. I could double knock off the Aegislash, but I wonder if Aegislash here is going to choose the King Shield. I don't think he can really afford to, though. Let's think this through fully. So, Tyranitar here is definitely going to Rock Slide. And I'm not even sure if Rock Slide's a 2-hit KO on Landorus. I could Superpower Tyranitar and go for the knockoff onto Aegislash. I guess that also works. It mitigates more flinches in the consequent turns. Yeah. Let's see. And he can't really deal with... Yeah, I mean, he'd have to flinch Bisharp. He'd have to hope for flinches, obviously, at this point. But yeah, I'm going to go for the safer play here by going for the Superpower. Look, okay, so he's not going to go for the King Shield. So double knockoff there could have won me the game. But Landorus hangs on with 49 HP. Fortunately gets the Superpower off. That's going to be able to knock out Tyranitar in one hit. That's fantastic. Bisharp here is going to get the knockoff off against Aegislash, especially because he missed the Rock Slide, unfortunately for him. So no flinch chance there at all. And, you know, that was just a guaranteed play, because if Aegislash did go for the King Shield and I double King Shielded into it, that would have been really bad. A knockoff actually just picks up the knockout onto Aegislash, so I assume it's a faster Aegislash, as it carries the Life Orb. Yeah, so very similar to the one I've been running, and we managed to pick up a win there in a really close game. I thought I had that game was lost, basically. My opponent was making me look really silly for the first half of the battle or so, but fortunately, the momentum all shifted when Mega Alakazam was able to get that surprise hidden power ice off against Salamence. That's one of the really fun things about this Alakazam. It's picked up so many knockouts with HP Ice in the last couple of episodes, and no one really expects it, but when you outspeed Landers and Salamences and you just get that free knockout, it instantly brings the momentum back into your favor. So that win actually puts us over 1700, which is pretty exciting, and let's see if we can maintain it with the second game of today's episode. So yeah, I mean, that's why you should never give up, and ultimately, you know, the end game there worked out perfectly as well. I'm not sure if my opponent knew that Alakazam actually traced Sand Rush from Excadrill, because he was probably anticipating him outspeeding me. The game would have been a bit more difficult if Excadrill hung around, because what I was hoping to do was knock out the Excadrill and force the Tyranitar to be locked into Rock Slide for the remainder of the game. Otherwise, you know, Tyranitar could have switched out, and then it could have locked itself into another attack like Superpower against Bisharp, which obviously would have been terrible. So, it would have been a bit scarier there, but fortunately enough, the Mega Alakazam was able to trace the right ability this time around. If you guys remember yesterday's episode, Mega Alakazam not coming in clutch by not tracing in Thunderous T's ability. But we're going to find Macros from California with a rating of 1646 as our next opponent of the day. I have played him a couple of times way earlier in the season. I think he was using Mega Altaria, so different team this time around, but still a pretty exciting one. He's rocking Mega Mawile, Rotom Heat, Swampert, Virizion, Zapdos, and Hydreigon. So really cool team here. A lot of unique choices, but the Swampert really sticking out here. Rotom Heat you don't see as much as opposed to Rotom Wash. You know, we both have Virizion, which is always funny to me. But let's think. I think my Virizion here is very important because it can pick up the knockout against Swampert, Hydreigon. It can also Stone Edge the Zapdos and Rotom Heat, though I'm obviously not going to want to put myself into a position where I have to. Bisharp here also very important, especially in beating the Mawile. So one of the games here, definitely, where all 6 of my Pokemon kind of makes sense to me. Which is, you know, those are always the most difficult games, I guess. But let's see. Part of me wants to lead with the Landers here, especially with the Assault Vest. I can actually take the special type attacks from my opponent's side. Can also just, you know, launch Rock Slides off immediately. Alakazam's alright here, but I have to play correctly because I don't want to just lead it into, you know, a bad matchup. Rotom Wash here, not a terrible lead either. Volcarona is also good here because of redirection and how much my opponent relies on single target attacks, but Virizion's a Pokemon that basically almost always carries Stone Edge, so it's not like, you know, I can just leave it in against a Virizion. So let's see, I do like the Landorus lead, I think. Maybe Landorus Rotom Wash here? With... Wow, this is a really tough call. I want all my Pokemon in this match. Landorus, and... Main reason why I want Rotom is because it shuts down his Rotom Wash. But I kind of want to go with Virizion here. You know, I'm actually going to go with Virizion. Rotom in the back. And for the last one, do I want Alakazam or Bisharp? I'm going to go with Bisharp here. It gives me a better matchup against the Mawile. Now, this might be a mistake because he does have the Virizion on his team. And my Alakazam obviously would just knock it out in one hit and put on some more pressure. So I'm not sure if I made the right call there. But really difficult choices to make here when, you know, so many of your Pokemon can be good in this matchup. But I'm going to lead with Landorus and Virizion here. Let's see what my opponent decides to bring. He's going to go with Virizion and Zapdos. So yeah, you'd imagine that Mega Alakazam would have been a fantastic choice to lead with here. Regardless, though not the worst case, I do get the Intimidate off against his Virizion. His Virizion's kind of, you know, stuck in an awkward position here because it's not doing too much damage. Also good to note that I outspeed the Zapdos here since my Intimidate off went before it. So one thing I could do here immediately is just go for a Rock Slide and Stone Edge into that slot. I'm inclined to do that, but part of me also wants to knock out the Virizion before anything else because it threatens my Rotom and Bisharp. I just wonder if he's going to go for the Protect here. So you know what, I'll just Stone Edge Zapdos here. Zapdos is a Pokemon that more often doesn't carry Protect, whereas Virizion might want to Protect here or switch out. But, yeah, I'm thinking maybe Alakazam would have been the call. I was just really scared of the Mawile on my opponent's team, and the Hydreigon with Dark Pulse also intimidated me a bit. But, now seeing the Virizion and Zapdos, you know, I'm thinking, wow. So he actually is going to withdraw the Virizion. I imagine maybe into Mawile. That would make the most sense to me. Yep, it is going to be that Mawile. So great switching by my opponent there. That's going to be able to get the Intimidate off against both my physical type attackers, unfortunately. A flinch or crit here would be really good in just, you know, setting the pace of the game immediately. I do connect with the Stone Edge here onto Zapdos. Does under 50% actually, even with the Life Orb boost, which is a testament to how bulky Zapdos is. The Rock Slide here, however, is able to at least connect with both of his Pokemon. So, you know, brings Zapdos down to around 25%. Does it have the Citrus Berry? It does. So Mawile switching in here is really good for my opponent, and I actually do get the flinch, which is really unfortunate for my opponent, so that's helpful. Right now I just really want to deny the Tailwind from going up, but let's see. Based off who he has in the back, yeah, it would have been nice. The main reason why I wanted Bisharp was because I could, you know, bring it in and then try to bait the Mawile into coming in, but unfortunately Mawile came in a bit earlier than I really wanted it to. So I think I'm probably going to want to withdraw the Landorus out into Bisharp here. The question is, do I protect with Virizion? Because I think the best play for my opponent here is the Tailwind with Zapdos and play rough the Virizion. So you either get your Tailwind up or you pick up the knockout onto Virizion. Unfortunately, I don't have much to stop that. Now, in retrospect, I'm looking at it. I don't have great ways to deal with his Virizion either, so I'm really scared of that. I'm probably going to have to rely on the Focus Sash on my Bisharp. So I'm going to withdraw Landorus out into Bisharp, and I think I'm going to go for the Stone Edge here onto Zapdos. Yeah. So Landorus switches out first. That does allow me to reshuffle the Intimidate, but the Mawile here giving me a lot of trouble, actually. Bisharp coming in. Mawile chooses to Mega Evolve. Yep, makes the most sense. So I'd imagine my opponent went for the Tailwind play, rough play here. But let's see. Mega Mawile, still a fantastic Mega Evolution, not as strong this year though. Stone Edge unfortunately misses Zapdos. Oh, man. So Zapdos didn't go for the Tailwind I was thinking of, it went for the Roost instead, but that is just as bad right now. Mawile here is going to get the play rough. Actually targeting the Landorus slot, that was not what I was hoping for. Oh my gosh, that was not a good turn. So I'm surprised he went for that, but I assumed he knew that it would be a pretty free play, you know, which makes sense, but that just made this match a lot more difficult. And that miss on Zapdos was so instrumental, but you know, Stone Edge's accuracy is not exactly the highest, so it's not like I can be you know, depending on it. Oh, but how do I even win this match now? That's really not good for me right now. You can try to burn the Mawile. Yeah, that was huge. Even if it were like, if it didn't have Roost, that would be fine, but now knocking out the Zapdos itself will be really difficult as well. Virizion's still intimidated, of course. Mawile here could choose to Sucker Punch the Bisharp to just knock it out. Or Zapdos might go for a Tailwind, might go for a Thunderbolt. I'm not in a good position right now, that's all I have to say. I guess I'll withdraw into my Landorus. I'll pull the double switch here. I think it's still important to conserve my Virizion if I want a shot at winning this game, because he can at least speed tie with his Virizion and get a close combat off, and that's my most powerful attack against it right now. So I'm at least going to be able to get the Intimidate off here, but he might have gone for the Play Rough onto the Rotom Slaw. If that's the case, you know, I'm going to be taking a ton of damage there as well. So really difficult. You know, basically the Zapdos sticking around is making this game a lot harder right now. The Zapdos, wow, excellent play by my opponent. I should have read into that. I don't know why he would go for the Thunderbolt. That was silly on my end. And he does go for the Play Rough here onto Rotom. So he's making me look absolutely ridiculous right now. Just making fantastic plays. But I definitely should have switched those two around. There was no reason not to, and that was just me not thinking fully. But I guess I'll go for the Rock Slide here, and I'll go for the Will-O-Wisp onto Mawile. I mean, it's going to be really hard to win this one. I'm going to need a flinch here onto Zapdos for sure. If I can get the flinch, I can still keep myself in this match. Otherwise, Zapdos here presumably going to go for a Tailwind. Knocking out the Mawile here is also really difficult. But yeah, basically right now I'm hoping I can get a flinch. We'll see what he goes for. Mawile, however, makes the better play here, goes for the Protect. I was hoping I could catch him off guard and just get the burn off, but not the case here. Landorus is going to get this Rock Slide off. Misses the Zapdos, and he's going to get another Hidden Power Ice off and knock out Landorus, so nothing going my way right now, really, but oh well. As Will-O-Wisp also fails to connect with Mawile, so the Zapdos-Mawile combination right now just proving absolutely deadly. But I think this next turn I'm going to at least try to get things back into my favor. Going to go for the double target onto Mawile with a close combat and a Thunderbolt. Actually, let's see what he has in the back. I wonder if he's going to stay in, because Hydro Pump could catch something off guard. But you know what, I'll just go for the Thunderbolt here. It's a safer play. Oh, that is so demoralizing. But my opponent definitely outplayed me. He made the better plays. Basically for the entirety of this match, honestly. And I guess now I'm thinking, wow, I really probably should have brought in Volcarona, because against Zapdos and Mawile would have fared much better. So he is going to withdraw that Mawile, which I'm alright with. Let's see what switches in here. It's actually going to be that Rotom, so Hydro Pumping there actually wouldn't have been the worst of calls. But I'm going to at least get a close combat off here. Does a good amount of damage, but Hydro Pump here might have actually kept me in the game, so maybe I should have just went for that prediction. I just really didn't want to afford a miss since I've already missed enough in this match. But Rotom outspeeding the Zapdos as well, really wasn't anticipating that, but gets a Thunderbolt off, doesn't do anything really. And Zapdos finally reveals the Tailwind, so fantastic play by my opponent there. I guess one thing I also could have done to keep me in this one is go for the Stone Edge onto Zapdos, hope for a crit and Hydro Pump to catch the Rotom switch, but obviously that wasn't the case. So now he's probably gonna just target down Virizion. I mean, that Tailwind basically seals the deal for my opponent. I think I had to really try to prevent that as well. Which is why, you know, I wanted to knock out Zapdos so badly in the beginning of the match. But it is what it is. So let's see what we can do here. I wonder if he's gonna try to predict a Protect from Virizion and double up my Rotom with Thunderbolt. Yeah, I mean, well, I'm gonna have to make really crazy calls right now if I want to win the match, right? So I'm just gonna actually Stone Edge the Zapdos and protect Rotom, hoping he doubles up into Rotom with a Thunderbolt. But, you know, at this point it's just, my opponent should have this game won as long as he makes the safest plays. Yep, he's just gonna overheat onto the Virizion slot. Nicely done there. And that's gonna knock it out. And you know, that's the right play here, because you know you have Mawile in the back to deal with the Virizion anyway. You know you have multiple turns of Tailwind left. So that's gonna be able to pick up the knockout on poor Virizion. Zapdos here is gonna go for the Thunderbolt. Not gonna do anything to Rotom, but basically looks like game over here. And unfortunately, Zapdos sticking around for this long was the main issue. But, you know, I also really just heavily misplayed by bringing in the Landorus into the Bisharp slot. That was like me just not thinking. And there's no excuse for that. So a bunch of misplays in this match for sure, especially that one. But yeah, I mean, it would have been really nice to knock out that Zapdos earlier on for sure. Let's see what he's gonna do here. I wonder if he's gonna go for the ultimate 4-0. I can go for the Sucker Punch onto Rotom. I'll protect Bisharp here. Might as well. Oh wow! I just protected Rotom. Whoops. Yeah, he's gonna go for the Will-O-Wisp here onto Bisharp. I mean, there was absolutely no way I was winning that game anyway. Oh, he goes onto target's Rotom instead. Good play there. And the Thunderbolt coming on to Bisharp. Yeah, I mean, obviously I would have been able to maybe pick up a knockout there, but yeah, this is a really tough game to swallow up here. Mawile just counters the team a fair amount, and even if I led Alakazam, you know, you'd imagine my opponent would bring in Mawile. So, like, I guess if I could change this game, what I would do is bring Alakazam and Volcarona, because what that allows me to do is get ultimate redirection off and psychic things. The main reason why I didn't want to bring that is because of the Hydreigon on my opponent's end and the potential I guess Hydreigon was the main Pokemon, and the Rotom P, which was kind of scary. But that definitely would have been the better play here. Zapdos is going to go for a Thunderbolt. But this is the kind of team matchup where you basically have to get it down perfectly, as to add insult to injury, Mallow is going to avoid that final Hydro Pump. So really convincing win for my opponent here, but nicely played. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the team preview here once again, and I think leading Alakazam and Volcarona with Virizion in the back, and maybe Rotom Wash as my last one here. That maybe makes a bit more sense to me, but I don't know. Like, Landorus was really helpful here, as you saw, getting the Rock Slide off, but wasn't able to connect there in the end. So ultimately, the name of the game was Zapdos here being able to set up Tailwind, and Mega Mawile normally not that great outside of Tailwind or Trick Room, but you add that speed control, and it just becomes such a big threat. And it also really combos very nicely with the Zapdos there, because you know, obviously Earthquake only hits one of the two. Mawile gets the Intimidate off to stop Rock type attacks, which are often physical onto the Zapdos. So that's a testament to how well constructed my opponent's team was, and I think he played better right from the start, so credits to him. It was a really fun game there, even though I kind of got crushed there, but we'll learn from that, and we'll see if we can put ourselves back into the 1700s in tomorrow's episode. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this episode, guys. Leave a like always if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, peace.